Would you move to a struggling town if someone handed you a check for $20,000? In 2026, communities across the American heartland and the South are fighting for something they once took for granted: actual human beings living in their town. Many spent decades watching their younger residents leave, factories close, schools shrink, and the downtown buildings transformed into storage units or historical plaques. Then something new creeped into the American periphery: remote work. Yes, believe it or not, remote work is saving small towns across the United States. Suddenly, an accountant from California, a software developer from Washington, or a consultant from New York could keep the same job while living in a town where the average household doesn't require a financial backing from a small oil-producing nation. Small cities and towns realized that they didn't necessarily need to attract another factory. They could just attract workers directly. That has created the new American land rush. Instead of settlers receiving a mule and 60 acres, newcomers are being offered cash, co-working memberships, student loan assistance, housing grants, and a welcome package containing enough local coupons to wallpaper your second bathroom. Now, before you start emailing me asking me for the check for $20,000, I'm just the messenger. And there is paperwork. There's always paperwork, you know? It's like they're not just giving away free money. Like they always say, there's no such thing as a free lap dance. With that understood, here's 8 American communities offering newcomers financial reasons to swipe right on a new town. Let's take a look. Number 8, Noblesville, Indiana. Noblesville sits north of Indianapolis and represents the more polished side of Indiana's population. It has highly rated schools, newer neighborhoods, a growing downtown, and easy access to the Indianapolis metro area. This isn't some collapsing former factory town, offering free houses because the last resident forgot to turn off the lights. Noblesville is already growing. Its problem is competition. Nearly every suburb around Indianapolis is chasing the same remote workers, healthcare employees, professionals, and families. The pitch is less about one giant cash payment and more about relocation support, community connections, and helping newcomers become established. Indiana has built one of the country's largest collection of local recruitment programs, with dozens of communities offering combinations of money, memberships, and moving assistance. This whole video could be done just about Indiana, but I thought that would, we should probably spread it around a little bit. Noblesville's greatest strength is it doesn't require newcomers to choose between affordability and civilization. Their package is worth about $18,000. Here's some of the things you get. I'm not going to tell you all of them because that would get quite tedious because these lists are long. But you get $5,000 cash for relocation, a $500 health and wellness stipend, season pass for the ultimate play at the Fox Prairie and Forest Park Golf Course, Noble Park Pass, 1-year membership to a museum, an aquatic center season pass. Now, who gets this? Who are they looking for? Noblesville is currently recruiting remote workers who, and follow this, are employed full-time and able to relocate while retaining their current position, or are self-employed and are able to relocate. You also have to earn at least $80,000 annually. You got to be a U.S. citizen, and you got to be 18 years or older. There are some other requirements. I'm going to leave links for all that stuff below. Another one, you got to move in within the next 6 months, or 6 months after taking the offer. Yeah, Noblesville I like because they're not hurting for people. They're just trying to better the population, I guess, or just strengthen the population. They really want remote workers because they don't want to have to supply a job to a new family or something like that. They want you to bring the job to them that they don't have to worry about. Number 7, Grand Rapids and Holland, Michigan. Grand Rapids and Holland advertise a relocation package valued at about $5,000. Now, they're right next to each other, and I've been talking good about Grand Rapids for some time. Holland is a cute town, and it's got that whole Dutch thing going on. So they're both pretty cool. Grand Rapids is the bigger job and the entertainment hub, while Holland gives you a quieter, small city lifestyle near Lake Michigan. Both have solid healthcare, manufacturing, professional jobs, and a downtown that somehow survived the 1980s without becoming one giant boarded-up Radio Shack. Michigan's problem isn't that it lacks good places to live. It's convincing outsiders that the entire state isn't Flint or the outskirts of Detroit. Abandoned factories and people scraping ice off their windshield with an expired Best Buy rewards card or a Blockbuster card. I still have one of those, and I have scraped ice off my window with that before. Anyway, Grand Rapids has quietly become one of the Midwest's better comeback stories. Holland has the lake, historic neighborhoods, and so much Dutch heritage that wooden shoes somehow qualify as normal merchandise around here. The $5,000 incentive won't buy you a new house unless that house is a shed with emotional damage. But it could cover moving expenses, deposits, and a few weeks of explaining to your family that Western Michigan is nothing like the depressing documentary they watched about Detroit. Who's this one for? Teachers or people with professional credentials in high-demand fields. Now, those fields do change, so check the website. I'm not going to list them all right now. And no, Instagram model is not a high-demand field. Just before you try and apply and put that down. So what are the requirements for this one? Well, you got to be 18 years or older. You could be an international student currently working in the U.S. You could have had professional credentials outside the U.S. and you're trying to retrain for the same field in the United States. And you have to be able to establish permanent residency in this area within 6 months. There's a couple other requirements. Look at the website. Number 6, Black River Falls, Wisconsin. Yes, we're staying in the upper Midwest. Black River Falls offers an advertised relocation package worth about $8,470. This is a small western Wisconsin community surrounded by forests, river, lakes, and an enormous network of ATV and snowmobile trails. Yes, that's how they get around here. It's designed for people who look at a peaceful forest and immediately wonder if they can drive something loud through it. This community will promote the hell out of kayaking, fishing, hiking, boating, and year-round outdoor recreation. Local shops, restaurants, and events provide enough activity that residents aren't forced to spend every Saturday wandering around a hardware store simply to experience human contact. That happens sometimes in small towns. I knew a girl who grew up in Minnesota and worked at like a local, convenience store, and it was a small town. She said this older man would come in once a day to buy a pack of gum, but he was really there just to buy the gum that he probably didn't need, probably wasn't going to use, but he just wanted to talk to someone because he lived alone. So she said he'd always come in and, he knew when nobody was going to be there, like when there wasn't a bunch of traffic, so he can sit there and talk for 5 minutes. The larger issue is familiar throughout rural Wisconsin for this one. Small communities need younger workers, families, and professionals to replace an aging population. Local employers need people, period. Schools need students, and downtown businesses need customers who are not just passing through on their way to somewhere else that has a Costco, and they don't just want old men that need gum. Black River Falls is offering newcomers a decent-sized package, but the real attraction is the space. You get forests, water, and relatively affordable housing without being so remote that your nearest neighbor is technically a Canadian radio station that plays reruns of Lawrence Welk. What you get? The package includes $7,500 in relocation cash, a 1-year family membership to the Lunda Community Center, I think that's Lunda, a punch card for 18 holes of golf at Skyline Golf Course, and a whole bunch of other stuff, including a county park, vehicle passes, an aquatic center, all that good stuff. Now, here's the requirements. Are you employed full-time, and are you a remote worker? Are you self-employed and able to relocate while retaining your current client portfolio? You got to have an annual household income of $55,000 a year, which that's 2 people, $55,000 a year. That's not bad. You are 18 years or older, and you are currently a U.S. citizen residing outside the state of Wisconsin. And you must relocate primary residence to Black River Falls, Wisconsin within 6 months. Number 5, Columbus, Georgia. Columbus offers qualifying remote workers a relocation package worth about $8,700, including $5,000 in cash. Now, Columbus, in case you never heard of it, is located along the Chattahoochee River near the Alabama border. Columbus is one of the largest cities on this list. It has a substantial military presence because of nearby Fort Benning, which is now officially called Fort Moore. Okay, I did basic training in Ranger School at Fort Benning. I don't like the name changing thing. I understand why they're doing it. But all these, it gets me worked up, but I still understand it. Anyway, they're looking for healthcare workers, manufacturing workers, and people that can work in financial services. The city has spent years improving its riverfront and downtown. Now, I will tell you, they've made great strides. Granted, I went to basic training and I was in Columbus in 1985, 86. And then back in 1988 when I went to Ranger School. Came back with a torn Achilles tendon. But I went back in 2015 for my son graduating basic training in airborne school. And yeah, it had changed quite a bit. They had made some progress then, and here we are, 11 years later, and it's just gotten better. The Chattahoochee now offers white river rafting, walking trails, and public spaces where people can enjoy the river without having to pretend that they are deeply interested in Civil War artillery. Columbus isn't facing the same population emergency that tiny rural towns with 600 residents are going through right now. They're not desperate for school teachers, and they're not trying to trick you into moving there. They've got a program attracting skilled remote workers who bring outside salaries into the local economy. And that's the dream right now for smaller communities or small cities. Get someone in there that's bringing a job with them that they don't have to worry about. They don't have to worry about employment numbers. You're bringing a job with you, and you're taking your money to pay a house payment, pay rent, buy local things, buy gas from there, go to their restaurants. That is a gold mine for small communities. Economically, this is the human version of ordering a business online and it gets delivered. What do you get? Well, you get $5,000 in cash for relocation, 6 months of co-working space at Co-work Columbus, annual community reconnection, mix and mingle with Columbus locals, a monthly mover meetup, connect with fellow movers and community stuff, have coffee with people, that type of stuff. They've got a laundry list of stuff, but you also get to have coffee with the mayor. Follow the link. Now, who's this for? We kind of already talked about it, but Columbus is recruiting remote workers who are self-employed, are employed full-time and able to relocate while retaining their current position. You got to earn at least $75,000 a year from a single income source. You have to live at least 75 miles outside of the city limits of Columbus at the time of the application or program. You must relocate to primary residence within 3 months. So they didn't give me the 6 months. Got to get it done. And they got a bunch of other stuff. Number 4, Jacksonville, Illinois. Yes, there's one there too, and they don't have a football team. I was not familiar with this place till I started researching this one. Jacksonville and its surrounding region advertise relocation packages valued at about $9,000. Jacksonville is located west of Springfield and has the architecture and street layout of a town that once had some serious hope for its future. It has a college, historic homes, healthcare, employment, and a traditional downtown that still looks as though things should be happening there. Sadly, not much is happening there. Like many communities in central Illinois, Jacksonville has been dealing with a slow population loss and an aging workforce. Younger residents often leave for Chicago, St. Louis, Indianapolis, or other growing metro areas. Once the young adults leave, the cycle feeds itself. Employers struggle to hire, businesses lose customers, and the town becomes even less attractive to a new group of people graduating from high school or college. So it's like you get a bunch of seniors in high school and their big dream is to get out of Jacksonville. And that's why $9,000 starts to make sense. Jacksonville isn't just trying to fill empty houses. It's trying to replace teachers, nurses, business owners, and the parents who skipped town like they owed someone money. For a remote worker, Jacksonville offers affordable housing and access to Springfield and St. Louis, like we already said, without requiring daily participation in big city chaos. You can own a decent house here outright for what you might pay in 6 years of rent in Chicago. Now, what they're trying to lure you in with, $5,000 cash for relocation, $300 in chamber checks, compliments of the Jacksonville Area Chamber of Commerce. You get a bunch of bank stuff, you get a tour of the town from a real estate agent, a couple other good things. Now, who are they looking for? Well, you got to earn at least $70,000 annually. Priority is going to be given to applicants who will take a job in manufacturing, a local job, or in healthcare, engineering, legal, or accounting. But remote workers are always eligible. And you got to be 18 years old, and you have to live at least 70 miles outside the Jacksonville region at the time of the application program. Now, here's the catch. You got to live in Jacksonville region for 1 year before receiving your $5,000 in cash. And I'm sure it's a check. No one's bringing a briefcase over to the house. So, yeah, that's a little bit of a catch, but it's still there for you. Number 3, Fond du Lac, Wisconsin. Like most people outside of Fond du Lac, I want to call it Fond du Luc for some reason. Don't know why, but it's Fond du Lac, Wisconsin. And they offer a relocation package worth about $9,500. The city sits on the southern end of Lake Winnebago, and its name means bottom of the lake in French, although locals call it Fondy because apparently several syllables had to be eliminated for economic reasons or something. I don't know. Fond du Lac County has more than 100,000 residents, so it's not a tiny village offering you a ceremonial position as the third adult there. The lake plays a major role in local life here. Residents fish, sail, skate, and participate in winter events, including the Sturgeon Spectacular. Yes, they're big on catching sturgeon here, as long as it ain't muskies. I watched a video years ago when I was researching something, and a muskie is a fish. And this one guy said, you don't want to be drinking and telling muskie lies. I've seen more than one person get their nose bloodied because of that. These people take their muskie exaggerations serious. The Sturgeon Spectacular, this celebration features ice fishing, snow sculpting, and a citywide Bloody Mary competition because Wisconsin refuses to allow frozen water to interfere with their drinking. I forget if it's Minnesota or Wisconsin decided that drunk in public was no longer a crime. The relocation package is intended to attract workers and families to a region that needs people with useful skills and long-term plans. Fond du Lac offers more economic stability than many other small Midwestern communities. It still faces the same aging population problem, so they're trying to get some new blood in there. You're not being paid because the town is empty. You're being recruited because employers know exactly what happens when a region waits until it's empty. Now this one, they'll give you $5,500 cash for a relocation stipend. You get all these other things. A lot of it has to do with fishing and golf and festivals, so I'd suggest reading all those. I'm not going to name all these right now. It's crazy. It's a long list. Now, who are they looking for? Fond du Lac County is currently recruiting remote workers who are employed full-time and able to relocate while retaining their current position, or are self-employed and able to relocate while retaining their current client portfolio. You got to have an annual household income of at least $55,000, and you got to be 18 years or older. You also currently have to be residing outside of the state of Wisconsin, and you can't have a reputation for lying about muskies. And they ain't messing around. You got to provide proof of all this stuff before you get the money. Number 2, Hamilton, Ohio. Ohio makes the list. How refreshing. Hamilton offers qualifying recent college grads up to $15,000 towards their student loans through the Talent Attraction Program scholarship. That's pretty cool. If you got student loans, I'm sure your ears just perked up. Recipients must move into a designated Hamilton neighborhood and meet the program's education, employment, and residency requirements. Applications open periodically depending on available funding, so keep that in mind. This isn't always going, but they will open up when they have money. Hamilton sits between Cincinnati and Dayton and was once heavily dependent on manufacturing. Like just about all industrial cities, it took job losses in the pants pretty hard. Population declined for decades, shrinking the tax base and taking its toll on the community. The good news is the city's invested in downtown redevelopment, housing, and public spaces. The scholarship program is designed to attract education workers who might otherwise move directly to Cincinnati, Columbus, or other larger markets. So they're trying to, take some of those people away from the big cities and give them a try. Now, the offer is especially attractive because it targets student debt, which is a big problem. $15,000 payment towards loans can eliminate years of monthly payments. Of course, depending on how aggressively the graduate financed those 4 unforgettable years of cafeteria pizza. Hamilton's not giving everyone $15,000 for crossing the city limits. The program is selective and tied to specific neighborhoods. Still, it represents one of the more substantial talent recruitment offers in the Midwest. The city's effectively saying, bring us your degree, your employment, and your future tax payments, and we will help remove the financial stress that universities left behind. This one's pretty straightforward. They're looking for teachers that will move into certain neighborhoods so you could work at the schools. It's kind of that simple. You got to have the degree, you got to be over 18, obviously, and you got to be able to relocate. Not that complicated. I'm sure it is once you get there, but still, you get what I'm saying. All right, before we get to number 1, just so you know, all the information for these will be on makemymove.com. I've done sponsored videos for them before. This is not a sponsored video. Getting no money for this. They just got all the information I needed for the video and you need for relocation. All right, on to number 1. And number 1, Texarkana, Arkansas. Texarkana offers one of the largest packages on this list, valued at about $18,900. That includes a $5,000 relocation payment to qualified workers. Texarkana sits directly along the Arkansas-Texas border. In fact, the state line runs through the community, producing 2 Texarkanas and giving local residents more opportunity than most Americans to be confused about which government office they need. You can also stand there, put one foot in Texas, one in Arkansas. The region has transportation, logistics, healthcare, manufacturing, and military-related employment. Interstate highways and rail connections make it an important distribution point between Texas and the Southeast. So if you're into logistics, which I get questions about that all the time, this might be a good option for you. Its relocation package combines cash with additional services and local perks. As with all programs, the full $18,900 value is not delivered in one enormous novelty check. Some of the value comes through benefits that help newcomers settle into the area. Texarkana's challenge is visibility. It competes with larger cities such as Dallas, Little Rock, and Shreveport for workers and investment. The incentive's pretty easy. They're just trying to get people to consider a place that they'll probably pass at 70 miles an hour on the interstate, looking for a cleaner interstate bathroom. For remote workers, the appeal is affordability. A salary earned from a company in Dallas, Austin, or other expensive markets can stretch much further in Texarkana. This place is very affordable. You also gain the unusual ability to live in Arkansas or Texas and shop in the other one and complain about both the governments. The program is designed to help build connections, grow professionally, and feel more at home in Texarkana from day one. Now, like I said, the relocation, they'll give you $5,000. You also get 25% off tuition plus first class free at Texas A&M Texarkana. You also get access to the Texas Pioneer Foundation Scholarship, entrepreneurship and professional growth, and a 1-year membership to the Assembly Line Creator Space. Got all kinds of stuff. It's all on the website. Check it out. The bottom line, these programs are not acts of generosity. They are survival strategies. Small and mid-sized communities need taxpayers, customers, homeowners, students, and working-age adults. A town can survive the loss of one store or one employer. It can't survive indefinitely when every graduating class packs a car and leaves. Remote work gave these communities a narrow opportunity. For the first time, they can recruit workers without first recruiting employers. It's not a bad deal. All right, everyone. That's today's video. If you enjoyed this one, you probably enjoyed this one right here. It's about France. Have a great day. Be nice to each other.